All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.
What's going on, everybody? We are here live tonight. Going to go over some 53-man roster predictions. Of course, myself, Johnny Luck, is joined, as always, by Matt. And we have special guest Mike Bauer, who is a frequent guest on the show. We just had to bring him on there. Haven't had you on in a while, so had to get your thoughts here. We're going to go over kind of where we see the roster shaking out and do that because the game is in 2 days. The last preseason games where we know going to see a ton of backups. It's going to be a lot of end of the roster guys playing, but still fun to watch as always. And then, of course, as Matt, you kind of detailed it, I think it was last week, the Eagles like to cut a lot on Saturday and then they kind of finish it up on Sunday. All the rosters to be set by Sunday. So they like to do they like to get the ball rolling. They like to get the last game essentially done early so then they can start making their cuts and doing what they got to do to shape the roster. And again, when the 53-man roster is done, it's the initial 53 because the roster is always evolving. It's ever evolving. Howie has said that, and it's never set. Everything is always fluid in terms of who gets cut, who gets waived, what happens, trades, all that'll come into play. But we're going to kind of break down where we kind of see the roster, basically the roster tango and how it goes. But gentlemen, how are we doing tonight? Mike, since you haven't been on for a while, how are you doing? Have you liked the preseason, the offseason? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Preseason's been what you expect the preseason to be. Never seeing any starters play. Time to stop complaining about it. You're not going to see it as long as Nick Sirianni is the head coach. That's just it. I'd love to see it, but we won't. Also, training camp should be in Lehigh, not at the Jefferson Health Monument Memorial Complex.
You don't have to say that.
No, NovaCare, thank you. It should be here, not there, in my opinion, but I'm old. What can I say? It's just now that we're into seeing some game action, I'm ready to see an actual game. But that being said, just seeing even what we have as backups makes me really appreciate the way Howie Roseman assembles a roster. When you look at what teams like the Browns have at quarterback, I mean, they have a lot of players and no solutions. Whereas right now we're just trying to figure out who our quarterback 2 is, and we're blessed as fans.
So we'll get into the roster prediction aspect of it. I do want to bring up a question here for you guys. We were talking a little bit just before we just came on about the quarterback position. Well, my question to you is, you look at Minnesota and JJ McCarthy, and he's battling. He's the second string, but potentially dropping down to the third string. What's going to happen with that? I know Matt and I have talked about Anthony Richardson, but what about a guy like Dylan Gabriel or like JJ McCarthy? If one of those guys gets cut, now would you think about bringing him as? Now I know you have Cole Payton, you have Tanner McKee, Andy Dalton. Would that be something to look at, or just kind of like no, go with what you have? Not really interested. Thoughts on that? Because Tanner is a free agent after this year, and Andy Dalton is 38 as a backup, of course. We're not talking starter. We're not WIP here.
I don't think either of those guys gives you anything more than McKee does at this point. And if you do bring them in, then you have to deal with the ramp up period, right? Like if it was someone with 2 years left on their contract, I think it would be doable, but if McCarthy gets cut, I don't think he's going to give you any more than McKee does right now.
Okay.
I agree with Matt on that one. And also, these guys have been in the system the entire offseason and then through training camp and everything. Plus, Anthony Richardson stinks. McCarthy stinks. Dylan Gabriel of the 3 is the only one I would be interested in going into the second year of a contract, like Matt alluded to. But I'm good. I would if I'm only picking 3 and you're telling me we're going to ride into the season with Hurts, McKee, and Peyton, I'm fine with that. And look, the fact of the matter is if you're getting down starting games with your third quarterback, you're probably screwed anyway. So let's stick with the guy that's been in the system. Don't give up any draft capital to get any of these guys. It's
Yeah,
not,
you don't want to do that.
especially a guy like Anthony Richardson. He sucks so bad.
I can't believe how highly he was drafted.
Should have stayed in college. That's the problem. And, when I scout
Well,
for fantasy
he's
football,
in college now with the money that's getting thrown, but yeah.
but the NIL was still there when he was around, or the backwater deals that they were doing in the SEC, whatever. But still, especially at the quarterback position, you have 1 year of starting. How can you think I'm ready for the NFL? His attitude, the fact that he can't stay on the field, he was too raw coming in, and that's the problem with these NFL head coaches. Their mindset is always, I could fix him. He has the athleticism. Sometimes you just can't.
You just look at a guy like Trey Lance. You think teams and owners and general managers would have realized what the 49ers did with Trey Lance, only starting 9 games or 7 games. Like, it wasn't much at all. We would have learned from that situation to then. But again, it's a league that it's a starting quarterback problem. There's a quarterback development problem. When you see a guy like a Baker Mayfield, like, he's not a star, but he's a solid quarterback that wasn't ready because he wasn't fully developed, wasn't allowed to develop, went to a shitty franchise, as of course we have mentioned before. But like, you look at Sam Darnold, like, there are situations where that happens.
Daniel Jones,
Geno Smith to a lesser extent.
Yeah.
He went from getting knocked out by his teammates to leading the conversation of one of the best quarterbacks in the league at one point. So it's pretty.
Yeah.
It depends. A lot of what we see in success is about the scheme and the environment in which you go.
Thinking about this too, like really, like, putting it, I always like to go at like a revisionist history, looking back. Like, if you take a look, Andy Reid misses on Russell Wilson, waits too long, and he gets snatched up. They get Nick Foles. Of course, we know the story. We know what happened. They still get a Super Bowl. It's great. But then as 2020 comes around and they draft Jalen Hurts, is kind of like, they don't want to miss that opportunity. They draft him. Yeah. And then in 2021, he starts, they make the playoffs, they get beat by Tampa. 2022 offseason, they're looking at guys like Russell Wilson, like Deshaun Watson. They're looking at these guys. They both were not interested in the Eagles. And to me, that's such a blessing in disguise as we look at it now, that they didn't get any of those guys, because both of those guys have been absolute disasters. Russell Wilson has retired, and Deshaun Watson is going to be a backup in everything that happened with him. Eagles got lucky, and Jalen Hurts, of course, did what he did, won games, brought him to 2 Super Bowls, Super Bowl MVP, won one. Like, you have that as well. So it's just some of that stuff, like, you look back on it. And again, we're going to look back on it too, depending on, also, you still have Jalen, the rest of Jalen's career, and how long he last year. Of course, some people want to throw him out after this year. It's, people don't.
Too many interceptions in practice, man. Got to cut him.
Yeah. Apparently.
Yeah, I also saw that Devonta Smith is not ready to be a wide receiver 1.
No.
Did you guys see that tweet? Because it was an underthrown ball. It happens, and then it's like, Jalen Hurts underthrow, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
And it was against Quinyon Mitchell too, like an all-pro corner,
right?
But that's not allowed.
Whatever. Let's talk some 53, bro. You're gonna get
alrighty. So let's start with, what we'll do is we'll go position by position. So I'll let you go with your position, then I'll go, and then we'll kind of look at both of ours and kind of see what we feel. So if you want to start with the quarterbacks, I think our quarterbacks are essentially going to be pretty similar. Of course, Jalen, Tanner, and Cole Payton.
Yep.
And again, I think we kind of talked a little bit about that in terms of what we're thinking, with the, with the quarterback situation and what they're going to do. To me, I just think it's a no-brainer. Like, I understand, Tanner McKee has 1 more year left on his deal, but the way that I see it is, yes, that is true. If he goes and signs a good backup deal, maybe you can get a 6th-round comp pick or whatever it may be next year, but you have Cole Payton here for the whole year. And what have you, like, looking at, you can sign a veteran free agent. If Cole Payton's not ready, he needs to be a 3rd stringer next year. You can sign a cheap backup, a veteran who maybe has been in this system, to back up Jalen. So to me, I think that's just the better option. Like, to me, I feel more comfortable in having Tanner McKee out there with the starters than Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton struggled last year when he was in the game. He struggled for a couple of years now.
He struggled for his entire career.
Yeah, well, yeah, but when you're 38 years old, it's even worse.
I mean, you could probably get him on the practice squad if no one claims him or he doesn't get traded. I guess no one's going to claim him because he's a vested veteran. But there's a world where you go in with Hurts, McKee, Cole, and then you have Dalton on your practice squad. And if you don't feel comfortable with Cole, then you elevate Dalton.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't put it past him being able to be on the practice squad. That's something he wants to do. I just think quarterback situations in a league are not very good at all, that a team may just be like, hey, just have him as a backup.
Oh, well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's
it isn't. I'm not going to cry over it if he's gone.
No.
But it's kind of how I feel with that.
Sweet hair. All right.
So the next one I think is going to get a little interesting when we look at the running back situation. Now, I only have 3. Very hard. I wanted to keep 4. I wanted to keep Carson Steele, but I didn't. I'm hoping he can get on the practice squad. But I got Saquon, Tank, and, of course, Will Shipley. So,
yeah.
I actually kept 4 in this one. I'm trying to find a way to keep Carson Steele. If it was me, I would keep Carson Steele over Will Shipley, but I know this coaching staff loves Will Shipley, so if they have to make a choice, they're going to keep Shipley over Steele. But I just think Steele's a little bit more physical. He's a great special teamer, but Will Shipley is too. There's a lot of times I just see Will Shipley making some boneheaded mistakes, getting run down from behind a lot. And
they kept 4 running backs last year, right?
I think so.
For the last couple of years. And they usually collect dust, right? You have Rashad
Penny, AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon. There's someone else I'm forgetting, but I went with 3 as well. I went Saquon, Tank, and Shipley. And honestly, if it wasn't for the performance and the improvement that I've seen so rapidly from Joshua Wiru and Uar Bernard, and really the improvement by Elijah Moore was another one that we'll get into.
Mm-hmm.
But if it wasn't for some of these guys starting to step up, I probably keep Carson Steele. But again, because we're talking about an initial 53, a tango that you have to do, and some of the rules that are around non-vested players going to waivers, you got to protect some of these guys by getting them on the 53. So that's the reason it's Steele. He's probably my 54th guy.
So now it goes into receiver. Right. And I think you mentioned Elijah Moore here. And the way that I went with it, I kept 6. Devontae, Dontavian Wicks, Kai Lemon, Darius Cooper, Hollywood Brown, Elijah Moore.
I have the same. And honestly, Johnny Wilson getting cut made that a lot easier. And I saw a post or tweet or something, fan favorite released by the Eagles. I was like, I don't remember him ever being a favorite of mine. Like when he stone-handed my pass in the Super Bowl. Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah. No, and we said that on the pod. We were like, well, that makes our 53 projection a lot easier. Because it was really it was down to him. And the bottom half of these receivers have been a lot of fun to watch, to be honest with you. Like if Wilson doesn't get hurt, I wonder if it's even more competitive. But Cooper blew up. Hollywood looked like he was dragging for a while and has really picked it up in recent weeks. Elijah Moore did a good job filling in while Lemon was out. So I think they've all earned the spot for sure.
Okay. All right. So brings us to the tight end position. And I have Dallas Goedert, Johnny Munt, Eli Stowers, and I'm keeping Cam Latu. I know Stowers has been, a disappointment. He's development. He's got to develop. He's a smaller tight end. He's not an inline type of, he's got to grow a little bit. He's got to beef up. So, and a lot, we've talked on recent pods about the tight end position, I can't even talk. Rookie tight ends, especially in Eagles history, don't always fare the best. Like Zach Ertz may be the only outlier. Now, again, Zach Ertz is borderline Hall of Famer if he's not. But otherwise, usually have tough starts, and you still have Goddard there. So for me, it's just, and I think we also, Matt, you and I had talked about, we don't like Grant Calcaterra the best, but again, he knows the team. He's been on the team. If he could probably easily be put on the practice squad to have somebody as a just in case if there's an injury. But again, Cam Latu is so good on special teams. I just think you have to look into that. Special teams is a main, it's a key cog in your team. Special teams is huge, and a bad special teams unit gets exposed really easily. So,
yeah,
that's kind of what I have with the tight ends.
How about you, Mike?
I agree with that. I'm not the biggest Cam Latu fan, but lead blocker, he third or fourth guy, special teamer. Yeah.
I love
But
Cam.
I can
think
also see Stowers getting an injury and being on IR because he's got that hammy right now. So
yeah. I listen. We already talked about it. These guys. You look at Trey McBride. Like he's a perfect example, right? Like he comes in the league. He has 29 targets or something for 265 yards and a touchdown, and then 3 years later he's got 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So like the tight end position for whatever reason takes a while to translate from college to football or college to the NFL. And then you got to remember Stowers has been playing tight end for 4 years? 5 years, 4 years. He was a former quarterback. Like, I think people are so spoiled recently because of the Jalen Carters, the Jalix Hunt, even with his rapid rise and even contributions as a rookie, the Coopers, the Qs of the world. Like we're used to these first, second round picks coming in and lighting the world on fire, but those are exceptions, not the rule. So I think people need to temper their expectations here a little bit with Stowers and give him a second to grow into his body and become like an NFL tight end. He'll make some contributions. He also has Andy Dalton throwing him the ball. He was wide open in the preseason game.
Yeah.
Would have had probably a 20, 25-yard gain. If that ball is put in the right spot, he has an opportunity to turn it upfield and make a nice chunk play. But I think people are too far down on him.
The next position I think is going to be a little bit of some discussion. Depends on where they go there. So I have, of course, we know the five: Mailata, Dickerson, Jurgens, Steen, Lane, and then I have Bell, Drew Kendall. I have Fred Johnson, which I think can be a trade target. Matt, you and I have talked about that multiple times, especially with some injuries in recent days on the offensive line for other teams. I have Willie Lampkin, Micah Morris, and I'm keeping Jake Majors for right now.
Wow.
And again, as you see, he is pictured on the screen there. I have 11 offensive linemen. Now, again, it's the initial 53. Who knows if something happens where you then deal a Fred Johnson and frees up a spot to then, do whatever you got to do there. But right now I'm keeping 11 guys.
Okay.
So I have that except for Morris and Majors, and I like those guys. I just think you can get them maybe on the practice squad, and Drew Kendall and Willie Lampkin give you versatility, guard and center versatility. Plus, if they do keep Fred Johnson, he could play either side tackle if need be. So I think just because of the versatility, and by the way, hats off to Chris Cooper for coming and doing, from what we're hearing, a great job with these linemen coming and filling in for Jeff Stoutland. But I think this year they go light on tight end because of the International Pathway Program, which we'll get to in a little bit, which I think is going to screw up this 53-man roster.
Yeah, I agree. I have 10 on the offensive line, and the only difference there from you, Johnny, is that I have my initial 5. I've got Bell, Morris, Kendall, Lampkins, and then I have Ojukwu making it over Fred Johnson. I think Fred is a more valuable trade piece. I think he's struggled a little bit so far in camp. He's had some some fights,
Mhm.
with Domo. I I think Ojoku, however you pronounce it, speaking of versatility, Mike, he gives you guard tackle versatility, and he can play either tackle. So he actually gives you a Swiss Army knife there on the offensive line, whereas Fred, I think, is expendable.
Yeah, like if Fred's not on the team, I still keep 11 linemen. To me, I still keep 11 guys, and if Fred's not there, Ojuku is the guy that I would keep. So I agree with that. I know they like him. So again, it could be because remember, Fred Johnson was kind of Stoutland's mold. He's the one that believed in him, got him there. Like,
Exactly.
So could they possibly deal him? And he struggled in the public practice. He was getting beaten like a drum. Now again,
Who, Fred?
yeah.
Yeah.
But again, he's playing on the right side there against Jalex Hunt, and he was beating him, a couple of the guys. But like I said, I could go Ojuku or Fred Johnson, kind of interchange those if I wanted to trade one of those. But
Yeah.
I think they're going to go.
One of them gets moved for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Or even wouldn't be surprised if like a Jake Majors gets moved, a smaller move potentially. But
What a man, never mind.
Teams are looking for offensive line. Just take a look at the Eagles' Week 1 opponent.
You won't make it. Yeah.
Oh man, that tweet you sent me today, man.
Yeah. Yeah, their offensive line is. Yeah, they've got some injuries. Of course, we know Larry Tunsil's out. And again, when you're going up against an offensive or defensive line room and pass rush like the Eagles right now, it's especially that interior.
Well, they have DJ Humphries now, so they're good.
Who hasn't been good in like 4 years. Yeah, so good for them.
Watch, that's going to be the game where we absolutely get stoned.
Shut up.
That's
You say that all the time. Shut up. Interior defensive line. I've got 5. And the 5 that I have, this was tough because Gabe Hall has been playing really well. I don't have him on here. And also, Blay and Wilson as like
Dash Brothers.
Yeah, it's just they show you promise. And it's like I'd love to get these guys on the practice squad just to have, especially Blay and Wilson, because Wilson just switched over to defensive line last year with East Carolina. Was supposed to go and play for I believe Virginia, right?
Yeah.
But he couldn't. I guess he was out of eligibility, and of course the supplemental draft had passed, so the Eagles signed him as an undrafted free agent. But I got Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Jomo, Byron Young, and Ty Robinson.
No UR, huh?
I have UR Bernard on the IR.
I have that, and I also put Bernard on here as well. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have 6 with UR, but I do think there's a possibility that they could IR him. Phantom, the Jordan Mailata pathway.
And I think then the way you'll see once we go into the edge rushers, kind of what I did. But like looking at the interior defensive line, they've got such a stacked room, and it's tough cutting guys like Gabe Hall, who is going to get scooped up. Like just, I just think interior defensive linemen like around the league, I think either him, Blay, or Wilson, one of those guys, I think potentially.
I like what I've seen from Blay and Wilson more than I've seen from Hall in his entire career here.
Yeah. Listen, Hall has the measurables, the size and everything. It's just putting it on the field, doing it consistently. That's been his problem. That was his problem at Baylor. He was a potential, top 50 pick, and just he struggled and had a rough season, and just it spiraled. But I don't think you're going to be able to keep all 3 of those guys. And I think somebody's going to wind up ending up on another team. Again, we saw it where they made the trade late last year because they, Thomas Booker, there wasn't a spot for him. They had too many defensive tackles, and they dealt him for Jacorian Bennett, who will not make my roster. But we'll get into that in a couple. What
a good trade.
Yeah.
Like the Dennis Allen for DG
Dorial Green Beckham. Listen, Howie's had some. His trades haven't been the best, we'll say. He's tried to hit on certain things. The CJ-GJ one was a good trade. The Ronald Darby trade was good. Again, you can't be perfect. You're not perfect. You try and do what you can do. Again, he's made really great trades. Like the AJ Brown trade could turn out to be a pretty good trade if they stink in 2028. So if they stink next year, and he has a top 15 pick.
Well, you could say both AJ Brown trades could turn out well because he traded for him. They won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They moved him, and it could turn into, like you said, whatever. So talk about recouping maximum player value for one player.
It could turn into essentially what because they had the pick for Jalen Carter. Didn't they have who was that from? I'm trying to remember.
Don't know,
because that wasn't their original pick. They got it from.
I could find out
somebody. But
what year was it again? Sorry,
2023.
2023. Yeah.
So it was a trade from 20.
And we're talking about, this is a side topic, but we were talking about how if someone doesn't sign here, like if we had gotten Russell Wilson or
Allen Robinson,
then we don't. If we had signed Allen Robinson,
who just retired this week, Penn State.
RIP. If we sign him, we don't get AJ Brown.
Yeah. He picked the Rams instead of the Eagles.
Yeah.
So it says here that they got that draft pick, which was the 9th overall pick in the 2023 draft. It says on the NFL draft website, from Carolina through Chicago.
Oh yeah, no. They had the pick after. They traded up one spot.
Right.
So they had the 10th pick. So they had the 10th pick. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the 10th pick says from New Orleans through Philadelphia, and the
Yes.
Darnell in Tennessee.
That was the trade that Howie made where he got
he traded out of 18 or whatever the year before for AJ Brown to the Saints.
He got it from some. It was a trade before the draft where they had 2 first-round picks and they traded 3 first-round picks. And he traded. He did something. Well,
he traded back with the Saints and recouped a first-round pick.
His off-season trades are much better than his training camp and in-season trades. We could agree on that, right?
Sure. Yeah, maybe.
He tries. You can't fault the guy.
Yeah. He's had maybe one win in the trade.
So yeah, this was the trade. So the trade happened. It was a pre-draft trade. The Saints traded their pick, their number 18 selection in 2022, the 2022 third round pick 101 and a 7th round pick, and then they traded their 23 first and 24 second to the Eagles for 16 and 19 and a 2022 6th.
Yeah.
The Saints used their acquired picks on players like Chris Olave and Trevor Penning, while the Eagles leveraged their heavy asset haul and future flexibility to eventually land core players like Jalen Carter and trade assets that helped shape their roster. So, yeah. So he, like I said, he's had a couple in-season trades that have worked. The Ronald Darbys, the CJ-GJs, they haven't been the best. The percentage is lower on that than it is on the off-season trades. The pre-draft trades, the off-season trades have been better. But again, we're going to see what they do. Looking at the edge rushers, I have 5. I have Grenard on PUP. So I put Grenard on PUP so he doesn't count against the 53.
I did the same.
So he's
I had
4 weeks.
4 games yet.
Wow.
I have Jalex Hunt, Nolan Smith, Ebiketie, AJ Epinesa, and I have Weru making the initial 53. So I didn't put both of them on IR. Maybe he gets a phantom injury when Grenard's ready to come back and then is placed on IR, and that's the spot for Grenard potentially. But so that's what I did with those 2 guys. So I kept one and put one on IR so they both don't get subject to waivers.
Yeah, mine's similar. I just have I don't have Ebikadi. I feel like
Woo.
Apenza and Ebikadi could be interchangeable just because of this, all the injury stuff, blah blah blah. But I have Weru as a linebacker because that's how our lads list him. The way that they do it is weird. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. So I went 6 edge rushers. I don't think Renard.
Did you put Hassan Reddick on there?
I did.
Hey, if he's cheap, bring him back.
I have Grenard because I don't think he'll be out for 4 weeks. I would think they want him practicing before that. And then obviously Hunt, Nolan, AK, Epineza. And then I have Weru making it for the same reason. I don't think they can expose him to IR or to waivers.
No.
And the reason I didn't put him on IR is because you can't practice. And I think he's much further ahead at his position than Bernard. Like Bernard's going to take a while to kind of understand the technique.
Plus, he has to kind of build. Like I know he's built, he's sculpted. I think he's got to add some more. Like
100%. But he's I think he could play special teams, and he can practice and get more experience than. And it would be more beneficial for him than it would in Uar Bernard.
Give Uar a year in meetings with Clint Hurt. Let him learn the game. Let him just really soak up as a sponge as best, especially with the way that interior defensive line. Like he's not going to play. Like you've got 5 guys that are going to get snap. You're not going to see the field at all. You're just going to be a healthy and active every game.
And you would have Blair, Wilson, or Hall elevated. Even if he is on a roster anyway, so like and you could say the same for Weru, but I think it would be more beneficial for him to have the practice time.
Yeah, I could see that, especially he like you said he can play special teams,
and he played rugby, so it's like it's not that drastic.
True,
right?
Yeah, he did play something like Uar's played no organized.
He played basketball and he used a tree as a blocking sled, like. He's unbelievable that he's this far ahead. But I think he's still, like Vic said, light years. He's years away from being years away.
Yeah. And again, it took, Jordan Mailata had 2 years of, IR, and then finally in 2020 was able to get some snaps after some injuries and was able to play a little bit.
Before we move on, Johnny, can I just say something about Uar Bernard real quick, just from what I've noticed watching him in the games? I get all excited. Obviously, the raw physical talent is there, and I get that. And if there's a team that can harness that, it's the Eagles, as Matt, like you said, and Johnny, like you said about Jordan Mailata. And has he done some good things when he was on the field? Yes. He has great burst, all that good stuff. But Matt said it best. He's years away from being years away. There's a couple routine things where I saw him. He got moved out of the way, and the running back was coming up through the hole, and he just stopped and let himself get pushed. There was no chase. So this is a guy that needs to, right now, be in the weight room and be in the classroom. And that's where he needs to be. He needs to be just working out, maintaining his physical, his body and everything, which obviously he's in great shape, but he needs to be studying film as much as possible. Like, what do you see here? If this happens, what do you do? Blah, 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 whatever these coaches do.
Apparently he didn't lift weights. They were saying in the last broadcast, he didn't lift weights, yet he looked like sculpted. Ross Tucker was talking about it.
I don't believe that he's lifting.
That's what he said.
Maybe he's on the Herschel Walker plan where it's just push-ups and sit-ups and no weights. You never know.
I mean, look, it's possible. Maybe, I don't know, but he's doing some sort of exercising.
I'll tell you what, when he figures it out, when it clicks for him, it's going to be scary. Whoever has him, whether it's
we need that to happen because we can't constantly keep signing our third defensive tackles like Moro Ojimo, and we lost Milton Williams last year. And look, thankfully, Ty Robinson has shown a pulse here because I was getting worried about him. I thought he was going to be a wasted draft pick. So we need to have that pipeline constantly getting restocked. Yeah. If you have to go to Nigeria to do it and it ends up being beneficial, then do it. That's what I say.
Absolutely.
So that's with that position. Then we go into the linebackers. I have only 4. So I went light here. I think you can get Deontay Lawson on the practice squad. I've got Zach Bond. I've got Jahad Campbell, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and I have Chance Campbell instead of Smile Mondin. I have Mondin being cut just because, like, looking at Campbell, I know Vic's talked about it and everything. Yeah, you probably could get him on the practice squad. It'd probably be easy just to get him on the practice squad. But I just think he's got good special teams prowess. I just, and Mondin does too. But I think they go light there, and that's kind of where I went light to keep an extra offensive lineman. And, that's just the way that I adjusted the roster. But that's why I have at the inside backers.
Interesting.
So I technically have 6 because, like I said, where it was listed as a linebacker on our lads, which, as I'm sure you guys know, but maybe people listening don't know, the NFL teams do not have to release an official depth chart until I believe after the last preseason game. So our lads gives you the best, their guesstimate of.
We love our lads. We talk about them all the time here.
It's great. But I have Zach Bond, Campbell, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I put Mondin on here. I like Mondin, a good special teams guy. I have Chance Campbell on here as well. And then Josh Ware, like I said, because he was listed as such.
I have 4: Bond, Campbell, Trotter, Mondin. Campbell, I went back and forth between Mondin and Campbell. They're interchangeable. I think they can both play special teams. Mondin is familiar with the special teams. He's a good player there. He was a team captain at Georgia. He's got the pedigree. I know they like Campbell, but I don't see how I think they could get him on a practice squad.
Yeah, I think you're right. They probably could.
Guy, right?
And the other thing too, we always talk about, oh man, this guy could get claimed. There's only a small amount of guys that wind up getting claimed. Like, you really don't see it. Like, a lot of these guys, like, when you look at the practice squads, they already know kind of who they want on their practice squads. Yeah, you may get 1, 2, or 3 guys from different rosters that get signed to a practice squad who got released and didn't re-sign with the team that you're able to get on there. But mostly the practice squad consists of the guys that you had in camp, which, again, it should, because they know they've been in the system for the whole camp and all. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they do maneuver the roster, what they do in the practice squad realm, and see how they adjust it. But again, we always say, oh, this guy can get claimed. And I always say, I don't know why we say it, because it really doesn't always happen, but it's always in the back of your head, because it's that one time that it does happen where you get somebody that you can't keep because he gets claimed because he's gone. Like the year that they tried to, skate Patrick Johnson onto the roster and the Giants claimed him.
Yeah.
So, there's potential where that does happen, which funny, Patrick Johnson's killing it with the Raiders. And I had a buddy of mine, one of my good friends and stuff, because I was watching I think it was the Raiders Cardinals game, and Patrick Johnson was making a play, and he's like, and I texted him, I said, Patrick Johnson, the preseason superstar. And he goes, how come you guys didn't keep him? I said, well, Eagles are kind of pretty set at outside backer, and he's a good special teamer. There's no space for him. Like, he's been on the team multiple times. I said, for a team like the Raiders, you easily could use him, and they probably get some snaps out of him because their depth is not very good.
Yeah.
So, it's good to see him shining for the Raiders. But when I look at the cornerback position, this one was a little tough because Jonathan Jones did come back to practice today, but I left him off. Maybe he's a guy you can get on the practice squad as a vested veteran. So I had 6. Okay. Quinyon, Coop, Riq, Keely Ringo, Mac McWilliams. My 6th.
Shaun Wade.
No, I thought about Shaun Wade. I went Gushikin.
Oh, you have him listed as a corner. Okay.
I had him listed as like a nickel back. He could do both corner, nickel, safety. That's kind of how I listed him as. I guess I could put him as the 4th safety.
Yeah.
But I kind of had him listed as like a nickel back.
Interesting. I like that.
So I was thinking about Shaun Wade. I think you can get him on the practice squad. He's made a couple nice plays.
He's made a couple plays too.
Yeah.
Again,
sure.
this is a position where I could see them going and trying to sign one of the veterans who get released from other teams. So I'd put out again, I had also put out
Mhm.
3 different players. Matt and I were kind of talking about it as well. One guy that opened my eyes was Davis Allen from the Rams. The Rams have essentially 5 tight ends. They're not going to keep 5 tight ends on the roster. They're going to probably keep 4 because a couple of them are draft picks from the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So, and the other guys are veterans that they like. So I think Davis Allen, last year of his rookie deal, I think he could be a potential trade target or a potential cut that maybe you can get.
Well,
But most likely probably a trade target.
Who are you getting rid of if Davis comes here?
Well, if they're signing a tight end, are you thinking they put Stowers on IR or pup or something like that?
Yeah,
That could be a possibility.
Because that's what I'm hearing from people. So he's got, I think it's a hamstring injury now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I wouldn't put it past them to do that. And I know he doesn't get the practice, but he could still bulk up and get bigger and learn the offense and stuff that way.
And the other thing that I was thinking of as we were talking through this is we're talking about the initial 53. And one of the biggest differences for folks who are listening that may or may not know this, if you're placed on IR before cutdowns, you're on IR for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Right. You can't come off. There's no window activation. There's no return. However, if you make the 53 and then head to IR, we've seen the Eagles do this. They can open their practice window just to have them practice for 21 days. Right? They did it with Willie Lampkin last year.
I think you can only do so. I think if you put someone on IR before the initial 53, they're on IR all year. You can't take them off. They can't practice nothing.
Right. That's what I just
so
said.
So if they do wait, which would make sense, and then as the initial comes out, and then be like, oh, okay, now it's initial. Now we then put them.
Right.
I like that idea actually.
That's where I'm thinking UR and Wiro would make sense from a 53 perspective.
But again, yeah,
so IR and practice them whenever they want.
So the initial 53 comes out, and Eli Stowers is on it, and say the Rams keep 5 tight ends because they have a trade in the works. They make a trade for him, and then they put him on IR. That's after the initial 53, so then he would be subject to coming off of it when he's healthy or whatever it may be. I definitely could see that. That would make some sense if they did that. The other 2 guys, one from the Cowboys, Kalen Carson, is probably going to be the odd man out. They've got a lot of corners, and I know they're younger guys. They're not going to cut guys they just drafted last year or this year. So that could definitely be a possibility. The other one that I kind of like was
I'm excited about
Kohu he's on the Chiefs now. Yeah. He played with Vic in 23 and started for Vic in 23 with the Dolphins. Now, I believe he missed last year with an injury. He's been a little banged up, but I think if he gets let go, I think he definitely could be an option as having him as your 4th corner.
I like him
5th corner
too.
What?
I'd give up some capital for him.
Yeah, you have to give up a late round pick.
I'm not going to be paying a lot, and you might even be able to flip a bottom of the roster guy.
Or what if because the Chiefs have been looking for offensive line depth. They just traded for Azudu from the Giants. Flip Jake Majors or a Fred Johnson for Kohu potentially.
Yeah, done.
Sure.
Or a Joku.
What about
someone?
What
about lines that?
Mekhi Blackman just got waived by the Vikings.
Again, I wouldn't hate it. Younger guy.
He's a little grabby, but he's physical. He's probably a guy that
again, if you look at 3rd, 4th, 5th corners, they're all going to be in that mold. You just try to find someone that you may be able to get to kind of where you like. And again, for me, I think really, really thinking about it, Kohu is a guy that I would definitely look at if he becomes available. Because he would fit right in. He's been in this defense. He knows the scheme. Unless he was one of the ones that complained about it. Again, we don't know.
We know who it was.
He plays for the Giants now, Javon Holland.
Holland, it was Ramsey, it was Xavier Howard. It was all those little diva corners that just didn't like being told what to do.
Yeah. Well, too bad most of them are on bad teams or
They can suck somewhere else.
yeah, exactly. The safety position, I only had 3. I had Epps, Makuba, and Michael Carter the third. Now again, Gushkin could be the fourth safety there. Again, I think you could put Andre Sam, which I know they've liked, Cole Wisniewski, Maximus Pulley, whoever, one of the, one or two of the 3 of those guys on the practice squad. But I went light there again because of other positions that I went a little bit heavier.
Yeah, I have your 3, and I put Wisniewski on here too.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Want to see him
Now,
but I'm a fan.
Does he have a concussion? I know he was noted for a concussion.
Yeah, but I
So-
think he returned to practice. I believe I can find out.
Because he was coming off of another injury too, so he's been pretty banged up this training camp.
He's just missed so much time. I wouldn't be surprised if they
IR him,
either IR him or
wave injured.
I think you can get him on the practice squad.
Yeah, you most likely can. I don't know. I'm not seeing any updated information about him.
Now, Matt, did you have the same?
I have
Who your
Makuba,
safety?
I have Makuba, Epps, and Carter.
Okay. Again, that could also be a trade option where they try and get a backup or a veteran, like, JT Gray, who was supposed to be a special teamer. You thought maybe he's the fourth safety. He just did not work out.
He's just done safety, dude. It's like
Yeah.
they did the same thing with Williams, where they're like, "Oh, he's going to be an amazing kick returner," and then he was just dog shit, and so they cut him. Like they obviously have an emphasis on special teams,
Yeah.
but you got to find guys that do something other than special teams.
Yeah.
Like Ringo, I thought about cutting Ringo, but he's so freaking good as a gunner, but he's also shown improvement as a corner, and Vic had him first one off the bench today. And I forget who.
And
was it Q had the day off or
it may have been cute. I'm trying to remember who it was.
Someone was banged up, and
He was Riq because he had those 2 interceptions in the practice.
He's still tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, like, especially too, like with Keeley, like if Vic's given praise to someone, you don't like that means something because he speaks his mind. Like he'll tell you if a guy, like when Bryce Huff was signed, he kind of it was almost like a poo-poo type of thing, and then saw him practice, and it was just like, okay, this guy's not gonna like.
Well, and he just won't play you. Like he doesn't give a shit. Like
he does not care.
If he didn't think you were good, he'd just be like, "All right, Mac McWilliams, you're up. Ambry Thomas, you're up." Like he wouldn't put Ringo out there if he didn't see improvement and he didn't trust him. And the fact that he put him out there today as the first one off the bench.
So it brings my question, as we mentioned a little bit ago, the Hassan Reddick type of stuff. Would he really even be a fit though in a Vic defense?
Hassan? Probably.
Yeah.
His skill set's actually like prime Hassan. His skill set's probably perfect.
My question is this though: if they sign him, was the AJ Hassan stuff true?
1,000%, and I hope the Patriots sign him just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
No, I think if you asked me that question 3 years ago, I'd say absolutely bring him on. But he's just not the same player. But I mean, it's funny because when they mentioned him as a potential free agent out there, teams looking at him, I did watch some of his snaps in Tampa Bay, and like he dropped into coverage quite a bit.
Yeah.
And he looked good doing it. And he wasn't bad at it in Philly either. So I mean, I think he could fit, but you're at a log jam as it is.
There's always our long lost love of Yannick Ngakoue.
Hey, I saw he was working out at like a high school gym.
Yeah. Ben Simmons did a lot of working out too. It didn't really phase well for him.
Yannick is he's unique.
Would have been great if it was 2020, 2021, dude, when he had all that pub and that.
He was tweeting out those Eagles emojis.
Yeah, that was the prime, especially when COVID and stuff, there nobody was doing anything but just scrolling Twitter, hoping for just nuggets and breadcrumbs and everything along the lines of that. The specialists here.
Let's say specialists. Yeah.
I've got 3. You and I've talked about me, cutting Rocco Underwood and putting him on the practice squad and then just calling up your long snapper for the first 3 games, having that extra roster spot. Again, still could happen, but I have Elliott, Mann, and Underwood.
Same.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Any other year, and I'd say that makes sense to cut your long snapper. I kind of like what they did with that, with Lovato and with who's the big guy they had last year?
Charlie Hughley.
Yeah.
Thank you. But there is such a shortage of long snappers right now. It's like every other day I see some sort of article about someone struggling in a preseason game or in practice. I just don't think you can subject him to waivers with people struggling there. And like they've already built this continuity. 90% of the accuracy of a kicker, in my opinion, comes down to the continuity of the operation. We've talked about this ad nauseum on this podcast. Mike, I don't know if you knew this, former long snapper, so I have an affinity for long snappers. So I hope he makes it. I hope he pans out. I hope he's the next long snapper for the next 10 years, like we had with Lovato, with
Dorenbos.
And then who was it? Mike Bartram before him.
Bartram, yes, who was I think their 3rd tight end as well.
He was. Yeah. He was back in the day when you didn't have a specialist long snapper. But yeah,
because they've gone where they have long runs with long snappers.
What if they lose him? You're calling Charlie Hughley again?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just don't think you can. If he was a vested vet, I'd say go ahead and cut him and just handshake agreement, bring him back. But he's not. He's a young guy that won the Manley Award. So
if he gets claimed, he's gone.
Yeah.
No, you're right there. So I went back and forth on it. I have really
long snapper analysis.
Yeah. I've been back and forth on it, like thinking, yeah, but they could just get him on the practice squad and everything. But again, as you say, that position is very scarce, and you see it a lot with teams trying to find, a good one to be able to have on the roster and stuff. So that's specialists. Specialists are one you see get claimed if there's a punter or if there's someone like So. And of course, Jake's not going anywhere. Now, if he struggles during the season, you could definitely see something. But as of right now,
if he starts missing field goals, Big Dom might shove him in a trunk, drive him out to South Jersey.
Big Dom, great guy. So I don't really want to go. We don't have to go too much into like the public practice because it's whatever, people like to get overwhelmed and, he threw interceptions, all that bullshit, everything people cry about, the quarterback, there are a lot of people around the media that don't like the quarterback. But
I thought Vic gave a great response about that though.
Oh no, I thought it was perfect, but
he actually, like, God forbid we show a little like rationale here and logic.
My thing, and I get annoyed and pissed off when I see it. And there's certain people, that they probably do it just to get a rise out of people because it's easy with Eagles fans. But my feeling is this: like, this guy took the team to 2 Super Bowls, outplayed probably the best quarterback of this generation in both Super Bowls. He's changed how many different offensive coordinators, how many different people he had to listen to, all this different stuff they used to do. He's a worker. He comes in. He was a 2nd-round pick. He beat out the franchise that they gave $100 million to after, the year before he was drafted. He was given a huge contract. They got rid of him after that year. But people will glaze a baseball team and a player like Bryce Harper, who's done nothing. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't won you a damn thing.
Why are you gonna bring Bryson in this?
Sorry. I hate the Phillies. And I'll say that. I don't care.
You suck.
But I just find it hilarious. There's excuses made for the Phillies and what they do. And it's the best that they've played in, this 5-year stretch of Phillies baseball. 5 years it would be now. 5-year stretch of Phillies baseball has been one of the best in team history. First of all, your team history is over 100 years.
Hey,
and
bud,
if this is the best,
why don't we lay off the Phillies for a second and let's talk about like Herbert. Let's talk about how he's not getting.
I'm gonna listen. I will remove it. I'm just saying, like, certain people like to give shit to the quarterback, but then like you have a star making all this money and they don't. And yeah, it goes back to, I saw Fox release their top 10 quarterbacks, and Justin Herbert's 8. He hasn't won a playoff game,
and he looks bad in the playoffs too.
Same draft class, and they make excuses upon excuses upon excuses for him. He had Keenan Allen on his team. He's had plenty of weapons. It's not like he didn't have anybody. He had weapons. They put Trevor Lawrence up there. Like, Trevor Lawrence had one good year. Last year was his best year. Otherwise, he's been average at best. Like, yeah, Jared Goff. Like, to me, if I'm looking at Hurts, I'm putting him maybe between 9 and 10. I'll say that for right now, for what he played last year. Like, you can go off of a career 8, 9, 10 in that range, I would say. Okay. You see players like Baker Mayfield and all these players that they're putting ahead of them. And it's just like you have to have some type of pedigree. I know you don't want to look too far. Like, you can't put Aaron Rodgers top 5 because of what he did. He's not the same play. He's not the same player. But like, the best thing was Fox had Josh Allen 1 and Mahomes 2. First of all, Josh Allen, last year was his year when nobody was in there for him to get to the Super Bowl, and he couldn't do it. He choked it away because he turns the ball over. And when he turns the ball over, it's not a problem. It's because he's making a play. It's essentially, listen, Josh Allen is what we thought Carson Wentz was going to be.
Yeah.
So,
hey, if he hadn't gotten hurt, who knows? He could have been.
Yeah, but to me, I think it's the point where they talk about a quarterback, and it's like, yeah, Dan Marino was great, had all the talent in the world, strongest arm. Yes, he made one Super Bowl, but he didn't do anything after that.
Yeah.
And, you look at a player like, I know Troy Aikman had stars around him, and so did Joe Montana and everything. But again, name me a Super Bowl champion who had no stars or nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. And don't give me Trent Dilfer, because they probably had one of the best defenses of all time. So,
can I play devil's advocate here? I can name you one that had no stars. Look at the 2017 Eagles Super Bowl team. I mean, who was really on that offense a star player aside from maybe Zach Ertz? You had Alshon Jeffrey, who was coming off a lackluster career in Chicago. Torrey Smith.
I can do this.
Right? I mean.
So I'll give you this, though. If you look at the offensive line, there's 2 Hall of Famers on there. A third Hall of Famer did not play, so it was Big V. So you can't say that. But Jason Kelce,
out of his mind, by the way.
Yeah, Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks was on his way to be a Hall of Famer before the injury.
Right.
So essentially, you could have had 3 Hall of Famers on that right side, at center to right side of the line. But again, you also did have, like, the offensive position wise, like, Foles, but then you had Torrey Smith, Alshon, Ertz,
exactly,
Aguilar, like it wasn't star-studded.
Players in the Super Bowl was an undrafted rookie running back,
Corey Clement.
You had LeGarrette Blount. You had Jay Ajayi.
It was like the island of misfit toys that they just patched together. And
so again, if you look at the history,
Doug was a doofus, right? Like, everybody called him an idiot, and he just
he'll forever be revered in the city, even though how it ended. And again, also how it started when he came to the team in '99. He stunk.
Yeah.
He was terrible.
Yeah.
So,
I love Doug.
Yeah, I do too. Same thing with Nick. Nick's going to be revered in the city. He won a Super Bowl for the team. Like
Here he is.
people call him a goofball and an idiot, and he doesn't know what he's talking. He's not. He doesn't do anything and all that, bullshit. But
you know what gets me about that? The same people that say that were like, Mike Tomlin was one of the best coaches ever. And so what did he do? He was like a secondary coach for a year in Minnesota before he became the Steelers head coach. I mean, what are we doing here? You know what I mean?
John Harbaugh. I know John Harbaugh was a coach, but again, he was a special teams coach, and they had a defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator.
And he's a beloved guy around the NFL. Remember, he was a special teams coach here, and then I think he was a defensive backs coach for a year.
Yeah.
And Andy let him do that because he wanted him to be able to become a head coach one day. And I don't like that John Harbaugh is the head coach of the New York Giants, but you know what? With the way that Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo play, the only people holding the Giants back are the Giants. So
CTE club.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And you also have to look too. Joe Shane, their GM, was given an extension. So okay, that's fine by me.
Really run organization. That Life Stadium is like just misery island there, and it's a terrible game too. By the way,
it's a massive air conditioner. I don't want. I'll pass.
Not going back there again.
No, I don't want to. I'm okay. But with that, we will be back. Matt and I will be back this weekend. We'll discuss the final preseason game. We'll probably go live Sunday night because most likely all the cuts in the roster will be set, so we can go over all of that. So there'll be a lot to go over there as we gear up for the season. We'll get the preview shows going. Mike, will have you back on, of course, always. But yeah, we got a lot to get into. It's going to really start revving up here, which is fun. It's enjoyable. It's the fall. The weather is cool in the morning. It's nice. It's starting to get to that fall. It's just
my buddy. My buddy. I said, man, it feels like fall out there. I'm so ready for football. He said, I just threw on my Dawkins jersey just so I could feel something.
Gotta love it. No, it's great. I love this time of the year.
It's the best. That first sip of beer in the link. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time, believe me. I can't wait. But with that, as we always do, we always end it with a very happy and joyful Go Birds.
Hey guys, it's J-Bo. Some people call me J-Bo in Philly. I'm here with Big Dom, and check out All About the Birds. Go Birds.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Ian. Make sure you're following All About the Birds. I absolutely love their content.
Just wanted to give the guys over at All About the Birds a huge shout out.
Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds, all the time. All birds, all the